I can't hear you.
Audio. There we go. Now, hopefully you'll be able to hear me.
And if people, are you letting people in?
I don't know how to do that.
Go to participants.
Where's participants? Oh,
Right
okay.
It should show up right there. So
Okay.
maybe no one else has
There we
tried to
go.
join yet. Now we can hear you. Yeah.
Hopefully you'll be able to hear me.
And if people, are you letting people in?
I don't know how to do that.
And just so you know, the live chat's going to be right there to the right.
Live chat's right there. This is where people can join.
And then let's make sure they can, participants, they're going to join. And I don't know how they write comments, reactions, raise hand. So I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, if they're so if they're coming on live, we hopefully I'll be able to get them in here.
And
Maybe you can.
I'm a co-host, so hopefully I can too, but I'm not on the phone.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, let me make sure I can hear you in the other room.
All right. So we're going to start in just a minute. I'm Parson Michael with Sacred Ground Community Church in Sangha, and we appreciate your patience with us here as we're just trying this out. Looks like we have someone. Oh, Sarah's coming in. Excellent. And so there's Sarah. Hi, Sarah. Do you want to try to speak and see if I can hear you? Oh, let's see. Ask to unmute.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, Sarah.
Hold on. Oh, I got to turn you on. Hold on. Oh, I can hear you now.
You can hear me now? Okay, great. And yeah, we're actually doing this from Struthers, Ohio. We're up at my boyhood. I'm in my old bedroom.
Okay.
I'm in
I
the
knew
corner.
that your mom had said that the end of September you guys were going to go there.
Yeah. So we're here, and
That's your
uh,
bedroom?
what's that?
That's your old bedroom.
That's the old bedroom. I'm in the old. This was my closet door once upon a time. So
Oh my gosh, Michael, I totally love it.
yeah, it's a blessing. I
So you're
This is the
sitting
house
in
that.
a, yeah, you're go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. This is the house that when they brought me home from the hospital in 1962. This is it. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. So let me see. I'm
How's
gonna test.
Ruthie?
I'm sorry.
How's Ruthie?
She's doing okay. We're gonna head back to Columbus tonight if all goes as planned. So
Tonight?
yeah, yeah.
Gosh, you guys have the most active lives, I swear.
Well, it just seems to happen. I don't know if we choose it.
I love it,
uh,
Byron. I love
well,
it.
here's the bell. We're going to try out
Hi,
the
Michael.
mindfulness bell, Sarah, and we have a couple other people signed up to join us. We'll see if they show up. But let's see if you can hear this. You can let me know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Excellent. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get us started. And for those of you who might be watching on YouTube, watching live or watching the recording, welcome. I am Parson Michael, and this is...
Oh, am I the only one right now? Sarah. And
Is
I'm
this-
here with my dogs, Byron and Alice. So if you see some
Oh.
dogs come through.
Excellent, excellent. So we have Byron, Alex, and Sarah. And there's Miss Ollie.
Hi, Ollie.
And we are Sacred Ground Community Church in Sangha. And we've been meeting in different ways since 2009. We meld together the beneficial teachings of Buddhism, Christianity, and Earth-centered spirituality. And we have a grounding in the teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh. He's been a helpful teacher to us. Today, though, is the beginning, the first time we have tried a Bible study group, and we're actually doing it online so other folks can watch or participate. If you put something in the comment section, in the chat section of, if you're watching on YouTube, I should be able to see it. And those who are on Zoom can also put comments and I should be able to see them as well. So let me see, how shall I begin? I think I should begin with the bell. One of the groundings that we turn to again and again is the grounding of mindfulness, of presence. And we hear a lot about this word, mindfulness. If you go to the local grocery store, drugstore, I will almost guarantee you that if you look on the magazine rack, you'll see the word mindfulness on one of the magazines right now. It's almost every month, which is wonderful. But with its popularity, I think sometimes people miss some of the deeper meanings of it. And it has depth, but it's also very simple. The meaning of it is to be right here, in this moment, right now. To not be worried about what was happening an hour ago or last week. To not be concerned about, we all have concerns for, oh gosh, this thing with our country, or this thing with my family, or this thing with the world, or the planet. We have the terrible, obviously the terrible flooding and the loss of life in the Carolinas and elsewhere. But presence is about being right here. And you could be here with your pain as well, but you are right here in this moment. And Thich Nhat Hanh said something like this one time. He said, I can tell you where the Buddha lives, but I can also tell you where God lives. And he said, I can even give you the zip code in this moment. And then again in this moment. So we ring the bell with the aspiration of bringing ourselves to this moment. Enjoy the sound of the bell. I'm going to invite us to begin with meditation, and I'm going to just kind of take it right from there into prayer. And it looks like Sylvia's joining us. Wonderful. Hello, Sylvia. So I'm going to invite you to be aware. Most of us are sitting. I invite you to be aware of your body as you sit. To notice your feet. You might even, whether you have shoes on or not, you might want to wiggle those toes a little bit. We don't give much attention to our toes. I invite you to be aware of your toes. I invite you to wiggle your fingers, to be a little bit aware of the tips of your fingers. And I invite you to breathe in and out. Breathing in, noticing your in-breath. Breathing out, noticing your out breath. In and out. In and out. Deep and slow. Calm and aware. If you wish, you're welcome to bring your hands together in prayer position or have them rest in your lap, whatever is most comfortable for you. And let us just take a moment and open our hearts to all those who are suffering. As we mentioned, with the flooding in North Carolina, Tennessee, and other places, there's great suffering. With wars in the Middle East, in Ukraine, and other places in the world, there's great suffering. People in hospitals, people getting news that's upsetting or disturbing. Oh, Great Spirit, we ask you to wash over these people, to bring them some sense of comfort. Might even be more than they can have at this moment, but there's some sense of love and kindness around them. And we also know in this moment there are people laughing, enjoying each other's company. There are people who have been estranged from each other who are getting together again as friends. People working for healing of our planet, healing of relationships. And we bring our attention and we invite the love of the sacred to be with them as well. Peace and amen. Sarah and Sylvia, I'll invite you each, if you want, to just, if you wish, to just share your name, and if you have any thought on why you decided to kind of tune in today, or any thoughts you have, or any hopes you have for this, just to share for a minute or two. Yeah. So each of you, as you wish, you could kind of bow in and share. And maybe. The sound will probably be best if we're all muted while another person's speaking. So I'll mute myself too while you two just share for a couple minutes.
Okay. Hi, Sylvia. I'm Sarah. And I'm sort of related to Michael and Ollie. I mean, our hearts are related. But I married Ollie's stepbrother, Chris. And I wanted to tune in because I really find a lot. I really like going to Bible studies. I've done it probably since I graduated from college, so maybe for 20 years on and off. And I feel really connected with how Michael and Ollie do it. I appreciate how they live, and there's so much to learn, and I want to learn more. This works out with my schedule, doing it on Zoom because I'm a teacher. I just got home from school. My dogs are not barking right now, so they're letting me. So we'll see how it goes throughout the time over the next couple months. I think it's good too, especially as a teacher, where we're getting sort of pulled in 1,000 directions. to like force me to stop. So this is definitely, it's a want, but I'm also forcing myself at the same time. Nice to meet you. Sort of meet you.
It's great to connect with you, Sarah, as well as Ali and Michael, who I have the pleasure of being in person with at Wild Church. And my background, first, I'm going to presence myself in Central Ohio in the watersheds of the Scioto and Olentangy rivers, traditional lands of the Shawnee, Adena, Hopewell peoples in reverse chronological order. And I'm here both because of the connection to Wild Church and my background is I'm seminary trained MDiv, ordained as an interfaith minister, with a decades history of peace and AIDS and other activism. And as Ali and Michael know, sorry about the pronunciation. My mom's nickname was Ali. So from the time I was 9, I lived on the family property on a hillside in Central Ohio. There was a maple forest, and I'm named womb being of the forest, Sylvia. And so interacting with sacred texts from a tree and earth perspective is an ongoing path for me. And I actually just sent Michael and Ali responsive litany for Psalm 139 from the perspective of source of, or whatever word people want, the divine, that I hope might be shared during this time. So blessings to you, all of you, and all who are interacting with this study. And thank you.
Michael, I'll just speak for a second too. You can hear me, right? I'm actually in Michael's childhood kitchen right now. Just want to mention to you guys that are joining us here, I want to mention to Michael, Scott said he couldn't make it today, so it just was a little too early. He's got work. And then for you guys that are here, yeah, if you just mute yourself when Michael's speaking, then it'll stay on Michael, because we haven't done meetings before. And you can mute, and even if you want to turn off your camera, if you don't want to be on, I'm looking on YouTube too. So right now there's like the 4 of us are shown on YouTube. So you can, if you don't want to be all the time there, you can just turn your camera off, but just make sure you mute yourself when somebody else is talking, and then it'll stay on the person that's talking. But so I just want to mention those things. It's very lovely to be here. It's very lovely to be here with you, Sarah, and with you, Sylvia. So wonderful. Two people that are dear to my heart. So lovely to see you both.
So I'm sure it'll be a little wonky here the first week we're doing this, but we're going to begin with Psalm 139. And you said you wrote a reflection. Is that right, Sylvia? Okay. So why don't let me talk for a little bit about my aspiration or my hope with this, and hopefully that will be aligned at least somewhat with what people are looking for. Is I'm not so interested in an intellectual or analytical understanding of biblical text, but I'm much more interested in how things touch our hearts and our spirits, and how they reach our souls and how we relate to them. And I'm going to be drawing from a Roman Catholic priest, Anthony de Mello. I don't know if either of you know of him, but he wrote a book called, I think it's called Sadhana, A Way to God, and it has a number of meditations in it. And he has one meditation on Lectio Divinae, which is the idea of reading the Bible or other texts in a sacred way. So I'm going to begin with, I think I'm going to begin reading. We're going to work on. Oh, I should say this too at the outset. We're working for these 12 weeks. We're going to study Luke, and we're going to study it backwards in a way, because this week we're going to focus a little bit on chapter 23 and 24. Next week, 21 and 22, and all the way backwards until right before Christmas. We'll be focusing on Luke chapters 1 and 2, and I thought that'd be very nice in terms of just the Christmas season, and also just kind of breaking out of some things. And also each week we will focus on one psalm, 139, 140, all the way up to 150. So I'm going to read this Psalm 139 verses 1 through 10, and I invite you to just sit with it, and we'll have a little bit of silence afterwards. And here is the New Revised Standard Version. O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from far away. You search out my path and my lying down, and are acquainted with all my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, O Lord, you know it completely. You hem me in, behind and before, and lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is so high that I cannot attain it. Where can I go from your spirit? Or where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you're there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. If I take the wings of the morning and settle at the farthest limits of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me fast. And I invite you into silence. And now, as the Spirit moves me, I'm going to read a line, and I'll invite you, if you wish. So maybe I'll ask you to unmute, and we'll hope for the best on this. I'll invite you to read it after me. We'll try to read in unison. I don't know how well that'll work with Zoom. You know me when I sit down. And we'll say it together. You know me when I sit down. Are you guys go ahead and unmute. We'll try it one more time. Go ahead, but we'll just try unmuted and see how this works. You know me when I sit down.
You know me when I sit down.
Before a word is on my tongue. Before a word is on my tongue. Oh, I don't think it's. I'll tell you what. I don't think it's going to work with the Zoom where we can't do it simultaneously. So, um, how about right now we'll ask Sarah to read them back, and then in a little bit we'll have Sylvia read them back. Is that okay? Okay.
You're such a
So,
good teacher, Michael.
so I'll say the line. I'll mute myself. You say the line. Okay. And it's a little bit wonky, but we'll try it. You know me when I sit down.
You know me when I sit down.
You search out my path.
You search out my path.
Even before a word is on my tongue.
Even before a word is on my tongue.
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 Such knowledge is too wonderful for me.
Such knowledge is too wonderful for me.
Too wonderful for me.
Too wonderful for me.
Your right hand shall hold me fast.
Your right hand shall hold me fast.
And let us just sit in silence again for a minute. And I invite you each to, if there's anything that kind of rises up for you, maybe from childhood, maybe from just now, maybe there's another word that I did or didn't say that rises for you. I invite each of you to share if you'd like.
I am sharing the not sure what to call it, but the litany in the chat, which carries a lot of my intuitions, is one, expression of my intuitions in response to the psalm. And of course, Zoom and my computer are not being incredibly cooperative, so it's taking a little time. But I just offer that as my current response, and we'll continue that process.
Sylvia, if folks are watching online, I don't think they'll be able to see that. So, would you like to share a couple of highlights or words from what you've posted?
Does the first couple verses maybe, or the first verse? Yeah. So it starts with, you have searched me, Lord, and you know me. And Source through me responds, you are conceived, gestated, and birthed through my womb. You know me when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. I know all you do and are.
I have a question that what's in bold, Sylvia? I missed that part. So the actual
That's my paraphrase from the viewpoint of Source, from divine, the radiant presence.
oh, there you go. You did that.
Yes.
Oh my. Okay.
I've got an idea. Oh. I'm thinking. I'm trying to see if I can put that up on Zoom. I mean, up on YouTube. Oh, why is that not working? Huh. I don't know if you, am I on? I don't know if I copied this and I was trying to put it up on the chat, but I don't know if I was successful with that.
I can't see the chat on the phone, so
Oh, you can't see the chat on the phone?
unfortunately
I don't know why this is not allowing me.
You said, oh, did send? Where's that right there?
No.
You go ahead,
well,
Michael,
we'll
and
work
I'll
on it.
try and put it on the YouTube chat if I can get
Okay.
it
Okay.
there. In the meantime, I'll finish putting it up in the Zoom chat.
Yeah. So anything we post, if we post it up in the on the YouTube, then everybody will be able to see it. So just that's a good reference point. So. I'll share a little bit, and then if Sarah, if you want to share something, I'm live now, right? Yeah. Even before a word is on my tongue, O Lord, you know it completely. Before a word is on my tongue, O Lord, you know it completely. When I hear those words, I almost hesitate to share this, but for me, the sacred's always there. God's always present. And I know that's not true for a lot of people, that they don't feel that. And I remember going through some really, really rough times and actually being a little surprised. It's just, I don't know why that is. I don't want to elevate that above. I mean, I know some people, they just really struggle. Is there a God? Is there meaning? Is there, for me, however I think of it, and I know my thinking is extremely limited about God, but like, it just is. And I don't know why that is, and I don't know if that will always be. It's been that way as long as I could remember, but there's just something in me that just feels presence. So I welcome if anybody has a different experience or a similar experience, anybody wants to share on that, but that's just the thought that comes to me.
Michael, thanks for sharing that. I love that. And like, you act that way too. Like, it's very known to be in your presence that this is how you are. Like, you have a relationship with God. When I read it, I think of, like, I was thinking, oh, it like touched me, like when you were reading it. But then I think I used to be almost overwhelmed by it, in a negative way, sort of thinking, okay, I'm just one person of billions, like trillions, considering people have passed away, people are going to come. And how is that true? With me and my rinky dink life sort of type thing. And then I kind of like started thinking, it is true. And it just shows like the wonder of God, that he is able to say all of this about everyone. And that's like beyond overwhelming. So repeating, I used to think, how can he about everyone? It's not true. And then I twisted it sort of as I've been living and experiencing life. Like, oh, he can, and how incredible that is. That's my first sort of thought. And my second is, sometimes when I read really positive things that affect me, like, oh, wow, and sorry, Byron's whining, but I think, okay, this is true for me. I have like this great house, so many dresses, 2 dogs. And then I think, how is this true for someone in Lebanon right now, or North Carolina? Because I'm not more special than anyone there. And then I start kind of getting confused. But what you just said is very true, because you mentioned even in dark times you felt it. And so I'm hoping and praying that people who are going through horrible things that we can't imagine, that in some way they're feeling this, which is kind of a strange thing to say from where I am right now in my life. But that's my take.
Sarah, did you want to add in anything here before we go further on? I'm sorry, Sylvia. I'm an
Okay.
S
I was
names.
like, okay. I was like, do you want me to say more? Byron's working.
I got the 2 wonderful S women here, and
I'm just trying to get it posted on YouTube before I go. So because I need to leave in about 15 minutes for the other Zoom. So I'm good. And I appreciate the chance to be part of this, and thank you, all of you.
And Sylvia, if you're not able to post it right now, that's fine. I'll make sure that we get it posted up there later. So don't fret over it. So yeah.
I would mention one thing here. I appreciate the thoughtful reflections. But I had to tell Sarah that Cookie's ears, like he like just stood up when he heard, was that Byron? He like he was just looking all around the house right here. So I just had to I had to put that in. It was so
Okay, you know that I love this because you're speaking of Cookie, and you know
Yeah.
what I feel about Cookie.
I do.
So the fact that he heard Byron, they had this connection. It's thank you, Ollie.
I just wanted to mention that. But thank you, both you and Sylvia, for your sharing.
And I'm sorry, I don't know how to turn my video off. Like I was just working with the dog. So if I get up, but I don't know how to turn my video off because something's like weird with Zoom on my computer. But so I'm sorry.
I don't have to. No.
I wanted to chip in that there's a cat whose room I'm staying in that may be heard from and tear around. So I was laughing when you were talking about the dogs because that's her usual response when I'm in spiritual community on Zoom is to be a kitty terrorist, like hop in my lap and demand attention and bounce off walls and yowl and all that. So yeah. And it's great to meet Byron through his
Byron. And I also have Alice, but she's taking a nap in the other room.
Alice was my actual mother's name. So that's why I said Allie was one of her nicknames because Allie and Alice are both.
Oh, that's right. You said that. Yes. Oh, Alice just heard you, by the way. She's right here. Alice, go girl.
Hi, Alice. Aw.
I think it's awesome that, at Sacred Ground, we do this Church of the Wild, Sylvia was mentioning, where we're often, connecting with the insects, connecting with the trees. And so here, even in our indoor version, we're connecting across species. It's awesome. So thank you. Yeah. One little piggyback I wanted to share after Sarah's in terms of all these billions of people and how can everyone matter? There's a wonderful story from Tibetan Buddhism, and they say in Tibetan Buddhism that there is this one turtle that it only has to come to the surface for air once every 100 years. It's just this mythical turtle. And they say there's a wooden ring floating on the ocean. And those of us who've had the privilege to visit the Atlantic or Pacific Oceans, and imagine this one wooden ring. And the people in Tibet say, now that turtle has to come up once every century for that breath of air. Imagine, what are the chances, what are the odds that turtle would come and bring its head up right through that ring? That would be so precious if that happened, right? And they say, to be born a human being as a human being is even more precious than that. And I love that as an invitation to all of us when we're in the grocery store, especially when we're feeling grumpy or haggard, to just get that sense of like this next person. They might have voted differently than you. They might worship differently than you, or not at all. They might think completely differently than you, speak differently than you. They are absolutely precious. And I think certainly that's part of what God intends us to realize. So thank you for reminding me of that, Sarah. We're going to move now to the Gospel of Luke, and we have a reading from chapter 23. I'm going to invite the bell to sound, and I know that Sylvia has another commitment. She's only going to be able to be with us here for the first hour, so I know that sometime in the next few minutes she'll have to wave goodbye, but I'm so glad, Sylvia, you could be with us today. And I'm going to invite us again to enjoy the sound of the bell. And I invite you to notice your body. We're embodied beings. Right now, your heart is working, pumping blood through your body. Right now, your lungs are working, helping you to breathe. And actually, since we've been sitting for a while, I'm going to invite you, if you wish, you don't have to do anything, everything's invitational, but I'm going to invite you, if you want, you can stand up and kind of shake out your body a little bit. We've been sitting for a little while, just kind of shake a little bit and let the body move a little bit. And I invite you to, you can lift your, I'll see how I can do this, lift your hands up over your head and look up. And then bring your hands back down and up. Breathing in and back down and up and back down. And if you want to sit, you can sit and do a little twist. Let me see if I can move the camera so I can see how to do this. Keep your legs facing forward, but twist a little bit to the left. Kind of look a little behind you. Hands up, and twist a little bit to the right. And a little just back and forth here. Back and forth. I think part of that, the shoulders. Little roll of the shoulders, little roll of the shoulders. There we go. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll invite the bell to sound again, and we will go on. Enjoy the sound of the bell. We're going to attempt this Lectio Divina again with the Gospel, and this is going to be from Luke chapter 23, and I'm going to read a little shorter reading, verses 44 through 46. It was now about noon, and darkness came over the whole land until 3 p.m, while the sun's light failed. And the curtain of the temple was torn in two. Then Jesus, crying with a loud voice, said, "Father, into your hands I commend my spirit." Having said this, he breathed his last. I'm going to read that same section again from a new translation of the Bible by a woman named Sarah Rudin in her book, The Gospels. And by this time, it was about the 6th hour after dawn, but darkness fell on the whole earth until the 9th hour. The sun's light failed, and the curtain of the temple's inner shrine split in half. And Jesus cried out, and these were the words of that loud cry: Father, into your hands I give over my life's breath. And when he'd said this, he breathed his last. And I'll read it a third time from the King James Version. Luke chapter 23, beginning at verse 44. And I'll read it more slowly. And it was about the 6th hour, and there was a darkness over all the earth until the 9th hour. And the sun was darkened, and the veil of the temple was rent in the midst. And when Jesus had cried with a loud voice, he said, Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. And having said thus, he gave up the ghost. And we'll just have a couple of minutes of silence. I'll read it once more slowly from Sarah Rudin. And by this time, it was about the 6th hour, after dawn. But darkness fell on the whole earth until the 9th hour. The sun's light failed, and the curtain of the temple's inner shrine split in half. And Jesus cried out, and these were the words of that loud cry: Father, into your hands I give over my life's breath. And when he'd said this, he breathed his last. And I know, Sylvia, you have to go. If you want to share any comment before, would like to give you that first opportunity if you would wish.
Spirit Spirit of gentleness, call through the wilderness, blessed and free. Spirit, Spirit of wilderness, stir us from placidness, wind, wind on the sea.
Thank you, Sylvia. I'll sit back, and if either Ollie or Sarah wish to share.
I was just talking to Chris last night about death, which, we want to think about, but we don't want to think about. Because Margot, the lady who married us and introduced us, she has a stage 4, I think it's ovarian cancer. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And she had to get a surgery yesterday she's been doing chemo for a couple months. And we found out last night he had texted her daughter that they couldn't complete the surgery because they found too much cancer and they weren't prepared, I guess. So they had to stitch her up, and then she has to get more chemo before she can get the surgery again. And then I was talking to him about my Aunt Jan. She had a slight stroke a couple months ago. She's in her early 80s. She's doing okay. But I was talking to Chris last night about how they eventually will die. I said, we all have a ticket. It's on the calendar for all of us. We want to take that realization away, but it is there. And when you read this tonight, I've heard that passage. I mean, just now, not tonight. I've heard that passage so many times, but I actually got a piece from it each time because Jesus didn't seem scared. I never really viewed it like that. It's usually around Easter time. And when I hear it, it's just like this sort of total sadness because, he had gotten abused and, whipped in the crown of thorns. So every time I've heard it in the past before just now, I've just received it with sadness. But I actually received it really quite pleasantly right now, thinking, okay, he knew where he was going and he accepted it. And that really helps because we all are going to get there. And I think it's a very, very scary thing for a lot of people, which is one of the reasons why we try and chase it, I believe. But he is like the complete opposite. So that was really encouraging.
Thank you, Sarah. People, you may have heard me mention this before, Sarah. I sometimes will mention the year 1902 because I'm the youngest child of Slovak immigrants on my mama's side, and I'm the youngest child of the youngest child of the youngest child of Irish immigrants on my dad's side. So my two grandmas, who I knew well, one was born in 1892 and the other was born in 1882. And these two ladies helped take care of me when I was a little boy. And just I've got all sorts of lovely memories of them in this house where I'm sitting right now. And in 1902, my grandma Agnes would have been 20 years old. I believe she was living in Pennsylvania at that time. She might have moved to Youngstown by then. And in 1902, my grandma Anna would have been 10 years old in a little village called Lastomir in eastern Slovakia that I had an opportunity to visit a few years ago. And 10 years old, that's like our eldest granddaughter's age. And of course, 20, that's like, we got 3 of our 4 kids are older than 20.
Yeah.
Or, that's a pretty grown up 20. And I thought, whatever their experiences were in 1902, all the people they knew, all the dogs, all the cats, all the horses, the elders, of course, the people their own age, the children, everyone has moved on. And it's, I try to think of it every day, and not in a morbid way, but to invite myself to be here. But yeah. And I like what you said in terms of Jesus and this attitude. I had a friend, an acquaintance friend, who was years ago, who was dying. I think it was cancer. And boy, he was very devout in his faith, and he was like that. He just had this complete openness, and I don't know if we don't know how or when our time comes. I don't know how I'll be, but I at least have these models. So thank you.
So I'll just speak for a moment. And just tell you, Michael, so some people are joining us on YouTube because I'm checking both. And so if anybody on YouTube wants to put anything into the live chat, I can see it. And I think you'll be able to see it. But like somebody's joining us from Missouri who's listening. But they can join us that way too. So I just want to remind people who are online.
Michael, and Ollie, your daughter Edith has been working with Chris. I think today was their maybe 3rd day together, not in a row, but over the last week or so maybe. And she was here one day, I think it was Friday. I was off, and I got to talk to her, and I said, Edie, okay, so that's from what? And she said, Edith Anna, my grandma. And then she said, I think she said another grandma, and then you were just talking about Anna, or did you say Anna? Sometimes I get, because of Spanish, I think I hear things different.
So Edie is Edith Anna. So Edith is my grandma, and Anna is who he was just talking about. So that's the grandma. that's who she's named after. She's enjoyed working with Chris a lot.
I love it, and I love the name. Now when Chris and I talk about her, we always call her Edith Anna. I'm like, it's like the best name. But I love that I love the connection that they have. It's been special.
Yeah.
I'll share one other comment from today's reading, and I'll actually read this line and I'll read it a couple of times, and then I'll share my comment, and then we'll probably be close to closing up after that. And the curtain of the temple was torn in two. And the curtain of the temple was torn in two. And the curtain of the temple was torn in two. I remember when I was a little boy, that image was so strong for me. This idea of this temple not being torn by someone, but just this temple, this curtain just splitting in two. And I think part of it is a lot of people kind of shy away from the unexplained or the unexplainable in sacred texts. And for me, it's invitational. I'm attracted to sort of the magic of how things seem to unfold in my own life, in my own experience sometimes. And I think I appreciated that. And I think for years, I thought of it as, I wasn't thinking of the temple. I was thinking of it as like, I don't know, someplace that belonged to Pilate or something. And it was like a tearing of the Roman Empire wasn't strong enough or whatever to stop Jesus or whatever, something like this. And then reading it more closely, more recently, the temple is where the sacred Holy of Holies is kept in the Hebrew Bible. This is a place that the high priest, I think, only enters once a year. And that this is, you're getting so close to God here, so close to the Great Spirit. And this is, you must only certain select priests can cross this threshold, and then even only once a year. And so this whole other meaning of just this idea that the sacred is accessible to us all, and that we have no distance, no separateness from the Holy of Holies. And I really I appreciated reading that, and I like thinking about that. And so it's also one of the things that I love about, those of you who know me know I enjoy Buddhist texts, and I really do. I love reading the Bible with those fresh eyes because, of course, I see things differently, but there's also a sameness and the difference, and I that's what makes me such a fan of ritual and tradition and how things meld, and there's different perspectives, there's new views, there's new ideas. So yeah, so that's my sharing. I want to just give it another minute. If Sylvia has, as we mentioned earlier, had another commitment, she's had to go, and we're glad for other people who may be watching or who may be watching this as a recording. If you are watching it as a recording or watching it live and you'd like to be part of the dialogue next time, go to our website, theholynow.org, and there's a contact page, and then you contact us and let us know, and we'll send you the information for joining us via Zoom. We're going to be meeting, hopefully. The plan is every Wednesday at 4 from now until, I think it's the 18th of December, right before Christmas. And we'll be going through Luke, and we'll be going through these Psalms, and hopefully we're going to have Byron and Alice back with us. So, yeah. And Sarah and Sylvia and Ollie. So I'm going to see if Ollie or Sarah have any final things that they'd like to share, and then I'll close us out with a prayer after that.
When you were talking about the curtain ripping, I never really quite understood that. I think I've learned it in school at one point, but I thought it was neat how I was kind of, when you were speaking, I was kind of like picturing like the opening of a window or a door. And it's sort of like, oh, now we can all run to him. Now we can all, I love how you said it's like the sacred, like it's now it's an invitation. Like it's free reign. We can all go, we can go connect, we can have a relationship. And it was making me think about just a few times in my life when I felt on the outside, like not on the inside, or other people who are currently feeling that way in certain areas of the world, many areas of the world, and how we put restrictions on people based on this or that. And how with God there's no restrictions, and then it's just it's really incredible, and to be able to live like that. Chris will say things to me like, I love you no matter what. My friend Kim that you guys met on one morning, she always says, just love, no agenda. Yeah, and I just we have so many restrictions, and it's really neat to know a God who doesn't, and to want to strive to be like that. So it's encouraging to me to know that I could maybe get more like that.
I'll just speak for a second here. I'm also been helping your mama here a little bit, so back and forth. But yeah, I didn't know how this was going to go, what this is going to be. But it's Bible study. But I loved hearing these different reflections from people, and I just feel so much more settled than I was at 4 p.m. So yeah, I feel grounded. That's what I feel, grounded. So thanks for everyone that's participating. Thank you, Sarah, who's there. Thanks, Sylvia, Michael. And we'll do it again. That's it for me.
Thank you both so much.
I'll make a couple of announcements for folks. As I said, next Wednesday at 4, we'll be back here. Also this Sunday at 10:30 a.m., right here on this YouTube Live, you could tune in for our Sunday morning service. Those of you who are in the Central Ohio area, if you'd like to join us in person, that will be an in-house service, and that'll be in the University District of Columbus. You can contact us, theholynow.org, or if you're already on the email list, you get the details on that. And this Friday, today's Wednesday, Friday at 4, we'll be meeting outdoors at a public park near Ohio State at Tuttle Park. If you'd like to join us there, again, you can contact us for details. So we're meeting live outside on Friday at 4, and then we'll be online and in person only Friday at 4, Sunday 10:30 in person and online, and then we'll be back here next Wednesday at 4. And I'll invite the bell to sound and give us a closing prayer. For there is not a word in my tongue, but lo, O Lord, thou knowest it altogether. Whither shall I go from thy spirit? Or whither shall I flee from thy presence? If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there shall thy hand lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. O great Spirit, the curtain has been torn. And it is up to us to open the curtain within our own rib cages so that our hearts may be exposed to the great sacred, to the sacred that is in each other. We give thanks for these teachings. We give thanks for these reflections. May it indeed help us to be more grounded. May it help us to open our hearts a little bit more, recognizing the shortness of this life, but also the blessings. Helping us to open our hearts and our minds and our spirits to everyone else, no exceptions, no agendas. We breathe in, we breathe out. We breathe in, we breathe out. So much is hard and scary and worrisome. Help us to not feel alone. Help us to recognize that we're surrounded by love. help us to feel that we're surrounded by care. Peace and amen and amen and amen.